Hi, and welcome to the Caterpillar Cross Stitch YouTube channel. My name's Ford from Son of a Stitch, and one of the things that I love about cross stitch and about fiber arts in general is their durability. They really stand the test of time. You occasionally see projects circulating on social media that are hundreds of years old. So what I wanted to talk about for the next little while is ways to make sure that your project, like that of Edith Ann, who hated every stitch of her sampler, really stands the test of time and can also be enjoyed by your ungrateful descendants. As a YouTuber, I'm legally required to remind you to subscribe to the channel and like the video, but now that that's done, let's just get started. The first tip that I have as far as making sure that your project stays just as beautiful as the day that you finished it is to pay attention to the products that you use when framing or displaying it. You want to get things that are archival quality or acid-free or photo-safe. Those things won't contain chemicals, especially acids, acidic dyes, that will discolor the project over time. So you just want to make sure to look at the labels, and usually you can find those at your local craft stores or other craft retail suppliers. So whether that's a glue or a tape that you're using to put it in the frame, or even the mat or poster board that you're backing it on, make sure that it's acid-free and photo-safe. And the next biggest killer of textile beauty over time, after acids, is UV light. UV light is pretty common in sunlight, so you want to display your project somewhere where they're not going to get a lot of direct or even indirect sunlight. If you do want to put it in a space where it is more likely to be encountering sunlight, then I would recommend putting it behind some UV blocking glass. It's a little bit more expensive than the glass that is usually in a frame when you buy it at the store, but you can get this at a framing store or a number of other places, and it will block the UV light so that that UV light will not bleach out the colors of your project over time. Very worthwhile investment if you want your project to last. And because acid is so damaging to fiber and to the dyes that are in it, that's why we really need to wash our projects. Even if your hands are very, very clean and you always wash them immediately before handling your project, your skin secretes oils, it secretes acids, you drop skin cells and dust mites feed on those skin cells, and over time that will cause the project to discolor even if the dirt is not visible at the time that you finish and display your project. So I strongly recommend always washing your projects when you're done. And I'll explain my method for washing a cross stitch in the next video that I make. Now, if you want to get all of the latest news from Caterpillar Cross Stitch and all of our great stitching tips, you should join the VIP Stitch Club. When you join, you'll get a 10% off coupon, you'll get a free ebook with 8 free cross stitch patterns in it, and you'll get a digital download of our top 10 cross stitching tips. So make sure that you hit the link in the description to get all of those perks. Now, another important technique when displaying your project in order to ensure its longevity is don't put it in the same airspace as the kitchen. Cooking creates a lot of aerosolized oils, and they can land on anything that's in the vicinity if it shares the same airspace. So if you're gonna put it in the same space, not even necessarily the same room as the kitchen, you wanna put it behind glass in a frame, which I don't usually like to do. I like to let my projects breathe. But if you are gonna put it in that space, make sure that it's behind glass, because those aerosolized oils will land on it and then they get sticky and dirt sticks to them and it's just a whole mess. So if you're putting it anywhere near the kitchen, make sure that it's sealed up behind glass. Now, when it comes to putting a project behind glass, because I know if we want to block the UV light, you want to do it, or if it's going near the kitchen, or even if you just prefer the look of a project behind glass, you want to make sure that the fiber is not touching the glass. You need to put spacers between the project and the glass of the frame, or over time they will fuse together, and if it ever needs to be taken out to be reframed or preserved, it will damage the project. So if you're framing it yourself, just use a little thin piece of mat board, or if you're taking it to a framing store, make sure that they use spacers to keep the fiber away from the glass, because again, over time, that will ruin it. Now, if you don't want to put it behind glass and you still want to put it in a space where it might get dirty or dusty, you can use Scotchgard on the project. That's specifically what Scotchgard is for. It will make it much easier to clean later on. It will keep those oils from infusing into the fabric. So just before you frame it, after you've washed it, like I show you next week, just hit it with a layer of Scotchgard, and that will make it easier to clean up in the future. Now, I've learned a lot of tips about how to preserve the projects that I work on from the Facebook groups that I'm in. So I strongly recommend that you join the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Facebook group, follow the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Instagram. There's centuries of wisdom and knowledge accumulated of the tens of thousands of members of those two spaces, and can be an amazing and useful resource. So I strongly recommend checking that out. Now, I usually display mine just in a hoop or in a frame without glass, and so dust does accumulate on it over time. And I don't really want to pull it out of the frame and wash it, and if anything's stretched, then that's really a pain in the neck. So usually what I do, just to keep from getting too dirty and dusty, because I do have a dog, a bird, and a bunny rabbit, so things settle on my projects, occasionally I'll just pull out a lint roller and gently roll it across the surface of it. Just one of those sticky lint rollers like you use to get cat hair off of your black suit. Just a slight pass on that every once in a while will pick up the dust. I do recommend, before you do that, actually roll it on your clothes or on your shirt to de-sticky it just a little bit so it's not pulling on your stitches so much. You want it to pick up the hair, but you don't want it to yank out the fibers. Now, if you're like me, you probably have a whole bunch of finished projects that have not yet been put in a frame. I've got about a dozen of them that are washed and pressed and ready to go in a frame. I just haven't really gotten around to it. So how you store your projects can also be very important, as much as how you display them. So if you're putting them in a container, it's a good idea for it to be a gas permeable container so that it doesn't accumulate moisture inside. So a cardboard box actually works great for that. But if you live in a really humid or moist environment, then that can actually lead to mold or mildew. So I have a little trick there, which is to use a waterproof box that you can get at most any superstore. And you know, when you buy electronics, you get a little packet of stuff that says do not eat, and you're like, well, it must be delicious. It says not to eat it. Don't eat it. It is quite poisonous, but it is very useful for getting moisture out of spaces. So what you do is, next time you buy an electronic that has one of those packets in it, or a new backpack or whatever it comes with, throw it in the box with your cross-stitch projects. That will soak up the oxygen and the moisture in there, and so then that will keep them fresh and clean and avoid getting mildew in there. So that's a really useful thing that those are good for, instead of just being thrown away. Now, those are my biggest tips for how to make sure that your project stands the test of time and allows you to amuse and possibly annoy your descendants from beyond the grave. If you have tips that you feel like I didn't cover, you can put those down in the comments to share with other viewers. I do want to thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. For Caterpillar Cross Stitch, my name is Ford, and I will see you next time.
Hi, have you heard about LoveIt Stitch It yet? You can design and shop the cross-stitch patterns you've always wanted. LoveIt Stitch It is an easy-to-use design tool and exclusive cross-stitch marketplace, giving you the freedom to create, sell and shop all in one place. You can design anything that you like, add text, upload and convert pictures and artwork. You can design the cross-stitch patterns of your dream. You can download them for personal use, or you can upload them onto the marketplace, designed by cross-stitchers for cross-stitchers, jam-packed with some gorgeous cross-stitch patterns from designers all over the world. If you're not interested in designing or selling, that's totally fine too. Just visit the marketplace and you can shop from hundreds of beautiful cross-stitch patterns so you can pick your next project. Are you already a cross-stitch designer, but maybe you're fed up of other marketplaces, maybe not getting the sales that you deserve, maybe not getting your patterns seen as much as you'd like? Then let us help. You can easily register for free and get uploading your PDF patterns with absolutely no fees whatsoever. Let us then market your gorgeous designs that you've put all of your work into to over 185,000 dedicated cross-stitchers from all over the world. We will absolutely do our best to get your patterns seen and into the right hands of people that we know will absolutely love stitching them. As a designer, you can easily list your PDF patterns for sale, no matter which software you use to design them. Our job is to make cross-stitch design accessible to all. There's nothing to upgrade, there's nothing to download. It's really easy to use and beginner friendly. We also wanted to create the marketplace to bring sellers and buyers together so that it's really easy and such an enjoyable experience to shop all of the high quality verified designs on the platform, but also to give those amazing designers a place to really showcase their creativity. So visit loveitstitchit.com today and register for free. Stitch what you love and free your creativity.